I found an old photograph of me that I feel is worth explicating. Complicated time in my life. I think I'm about 15 years old. I think that because of that sweater I am wearing. Everyone at the time thought I was about 12 because I looked so much younger. I hadn't yet gone into puberty, even though, well, I was about 2-3 years behind all of my peers. Everyone else was going into puberty. And it sure looks like I'm in a very fancy house. This was not my family's house, but we were visiting the uncle of my mom. And I'll tell a little bit about him in a moment. Him and his wife. Well, I look so sad. I look so uncomfortable because I was. It was such a painful and confusing time in my life. I didn't fit in. I never could get the quite right haircut that made me look the way I wanted. In hindsight, I realized that no haircut could have done for me what I wanted it to. Basically, I hated myself too much to ever look the part. I was trying to wear the right clothes to fit in with my fancy peers at school, but it just never quite worked right. The girls never quite really liked me because I was just too small or too outspoken. For a while, I was pretty angry there because of what was going on in my family system. I look at those shoes I was wearing, Docksiders, leather Docksiders. I preferred to wear sneakers, but I wore those shoes so I could look cool. And yet I never felt cool. And why are we visiting my mother's uncle? Well, I realize in hindsight, from how my mother spoke about her uncle, this is her father's older brother, my mother had a crush on her uncle. And I think her uncle had a crush on my mom. And even, well, when I was 15, I could see that she flirted with him and he flirted with her. My mom flirted with all sorts of men. That's one of the ways that she got along with men and felt comfortable with men, was by determining if they had romantic or sexual interest in her. And he did, which is probably a big part of why we visited him. Now, what kind of weirdness and perversity is up with that uncle to do that toward his niece? Well, strangely enough, he was married for many, many years, like 50, 60 years to the same woman. I knew his wife. I saw her for most of my childhood. We would visit them once every year or every other year. And then when they were both about 90, his wife died, and oh my God, he who was a college professor suddenly married another woman who literally was 40 years younger than he was. She had been one of his students decades before. He had been, I believe, her PhD advisor, and they had, it turned out, been having an affair for decades. For more than a third of a century, they had been having a secret, surreptitious affair, sneaking around and doing who knows what when he was out working. Well, he did have a thing for younger women. My mom, he probably would have had an affair with her if she had allowed it, even though they were blood relatives. And he was my grandfather's older brother. Well, my grandfather, he was having affairs with his former therapy clients, and back when with his secretary. This was normal in my mother's family. This, I guess, is what guys did. And my mother did it too. When I was a little baby, she was having an affair with her boss. I later had to go and do a little research to find out if my father really was my father. And so when I look in my 15-year-old eyes, I might have even been 16 here, I can see why I looked so sad, so forlorn. What had I seen? What was I seeing that day? And why did my father agree to go and visit my mother's uncle? He knew all of these dynamics. He knew everything that was going on, and he was profoundly jealous of these men. Yet, at the same time, he was proud because he knew that he, quote, had my mother. He was married to her. He was the one who was doing, I hate to say it, but he was the one who was doing sexual things to her. And he bragged about it, and he was proud of it. And he loved it that this older man was flirting with my mother and yet couldn't have her, and looked at my father with some jealousy that my father did have her. And yet only a few short years after that, my father left her because he was having an affair with someone else. And he was, I think, starting to have affairs with other women right around the time this picture was taken. And I didn't know that at the time, but I felt it. And I felt sad. I just felt sad. I felt lost. I felt confused. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be important. I wanted someone to love me. Every night, desperately, I would say to myself, oh, maybe I will meet a girl my age, a year younger, 2 years younger, a year older, 2 years older, who will love me, who will finally be there for me, who will be devoted to me, who will see me for the beautiful soul that I am. I was looking for the perfect parent who I didn't have, who I would never have. Not externally, at least, because I did, in a way, find that perfect parent. I found that perfect parent in me, the me who grew up, who healed, who is here now, who's becoming a more perfect parent for myself every day, who really understands what love is, who nurtures myself, who understands the traumas that I went through, who fights for myself, who isn't afraid to speak out and speak about what I see in this photograph. I had the full template for learning how to love myself then, but I was so deeply embedded in this profoundly screwed up family system that there is no way I could heal then. It was profoundly, deeply impossible. I had to get out. And consciously, I didn't know that then. I couldn't accept that then. Unconsciously, I knew that. Unconsciously, I wanted to get out, but I couldn't see it consciously. And so all I was left with was misery back then, torment, self-hatred, sadness, despair. And so I tried externally to make myself look like the perfect part, be the perfect person, wear the perfect sweater, wear the perfect leather shoes, try to get pants that fit me nicely, have the perfect haircut. But it was all doomed to failure. None of it would make me happy. None of it ever did. And I didn't get my first glimpses of real hope for, well, several more years. Even until I was halfway through college, halfway through university, at 20 years old, where I started breaking out, breaking away, setting boundaries, saying no, 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 saying fuck you to this whole family system, saying I will not participate anymore, I will not play the part, I will not dress how you want me to dress, I will grow my hair, I will get earrings, I will not come home, I will not tell you where I am, I will not go to visit these horrible relatives. Eventually, I started saying, I will become celibate. They said, oh, what's wrong with Daniel? Is he gay? Is he this? Is he that? What's wrong with him? Does he have these XYZ problems? It was like, who cares what my sexual orientation is? I want to love myself. I want to be there for myself. I want to grow. I want to heal. I want to call out the horror and hypocrisy that I see in this family system. Eventually, I will play guitar. I will write songs about how screwed up my family system is. I can even play these songs on the piano now. But in my eyes, as I zoom in on that sad face of me, I see now that it was inevitable that I would become real. I would break away from these people. And I would become honest.